Fine. So in this session of day 2 of Selenium training, the first thing which I'll do is I'll enable my project with Selenium. Okay. I'll add the external Selenium jar file. Okay. And I have added them and they come under reference file. Now to work with these jar files, I need to know about the concept of object-oriented programming. Fine. We need to know the concept of object-oriented programming. Fine. In the source folder, right? In the source folder, I'll create a new class first of all. Fine. And say probably I'll call the class as mobile. Fine. For this class, I'm going to create an object, right? First of all, let me define some properties of this mobile, like for example, string name and int price. Okay. So before we jump over to Selenium, let us look at this concept of object-oriented programming. Fine. So this mobile class has got two properties, string name and int price. Okay. Now suppose I make a new class known as user.java with the main function. We need to click on this checkbox in order to create a main function. Okay. The class with the main function is an executable class. You can run it. Okay, because control comes up inside the main function when you run the program for the first time. Alright. So over here, right, inside the main function, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the object of the mobile class. Alright. And how will I create the object of the mobile class? I'll write over here new mobile. This is how you create the object of a class. Now, what do you mean by object of a class? What happens when you actually create the object? Fine. Right? What happens in the memory? So, what happens when you create the object of the class? What happens in the memory when you write new mobile over here? Fine. In the memory, what happens is that something like this. An object gets created. Fine. That object will have two properties, name and price. These are the two properties, fine, for that object. Okay. And right now you can create, suppose I can create another object. Again, inside the memory, name and price will be there. Okay. So these are the two objects. They are in the memory. Each and every object has got a property name and price. But you cannot access these objects. Alright. To access these objects, fine, you need to actually create object references. Okay, just a minute. Fine. You need to create object references. You need to write over here mobile, say M1 equals to new mobile, and mobile M2 equals to new mobile. So M1 and M2 become the object references. Okay, M1 will point towards the first object, say, and M2 will point towards second object. M1 and M2 are references. They point towards the object. Okay, fine. Now what you can do is that you can initialize the object. You can write M1 dot, we get the property name. Name is say Nokia. Fine. M1 dot price is 100. Okay. I can write m2 dot name is say iPhone. Okay, m2 dot price is 200. Fine. So each and every object can be individually each and every object can be individually initialized. Okay, fine. So what happens is, if I write over here m1 dot name and m2 dot name, it will print Nokia and iPhone. When you run this program, it prints Nokia and iPhone. Okay, right? So what I mean to say is that object, by creating the object of a class, by creating as many objects of the class mobile, you can give a different value to these variables. Each object will have its own name and own price. Alright. Suppose if I make a function like this, public void print, okay, and inside it I am going to print the name as well as price. So what will happen is that inside each object this print function will also be there. When m1 calls the print function, name and price for m1 will be printed. When m2 calls the print function, name and price for m2 will be printed. Like if I write over here m1 dot print, will get the option, and m2 dot print. Fine. So when you run this, it will print Nokia 100 and iPhone 200. Okay, right? It prints Nokia 100 and iPhone 200. So this is how it works. All right. So when you again run, it will print it. Right. So now this way, this can work successfully. Okay. Now going forward, just going forward, uh, how will we use these objects? Okay, how will we be using the objects in Selenium? Right. So over here, when I create a new class, say Selenium Basics. Okay. Now I have already included all the jar files of Selenium in the project. Fine, all the jar files of Selenium are there inside the project. So that means the project is Selenium enabled. Fine. Now I can actually create the objects of inbuilt classes inside Selenium. In Selenium, you don't have to do like you have to start from the uh, only write the code in using the core libraries of Java. You don't need to do that. There are internal classes in Selenium API. Okay, you need to know about them and you need to create the objects of those classes to work with Selenium. For example, there is a class known as Firefox Driver. If I write over here new Firefox driver, I am just creating the object of an internal class of Selenium known as Firefox driver. You will get an error on this class. Okay, you move your mouse over the error and select import this class. This option will only be coming if you have imported the Selenium library in your project. Okay, so I am creating the object of Firefox driver class. Fine. When I run this, it will automatically open up Firefox browser. Okay. You see that it opens. Okay, the Firefox browser automatically opens up, right? So this browser, Firefox browser, is actually uh, you cannot access it. Fine, you will not be able to access it. Suppose if I have to navigate to a website or something, you will have to give it a reference if you want to access it. Access it means if you want to control the browser, if you want to access the internal contents of this class. This is an inbuilt class inside Selenium. Right. Over here, I created my own class mobile and I created the objects of that class. Right. Firefox driver is an inbuilt class inside Selenium API. I'm using that object. Now, if I create a reference and if I write f1 dot, fine. And if you look at the list of functions you have over here, fine, you will have lot of functions. Okay, you will have lot of functions. Okay, you don't have to remember all of them. Right, we'll study. We'll look at it. Fine. If I write f1.get to the URL, say URL http yahoo.com. Okay, if I yeah, if I go if I over here Firefox driver f1 equals to new Firefox driver f1.get to the website yahoo.com, and if you run this code, you'll see that browser will open and it will connect to Firefox, and it will navigate to the website, this website. Okay, right, fine. I hope you got the point. Any questions from anybody? So this is how you work in Selenium. In Selenium, everything is inbuilt. I hope you understand this. In Selenium, everything is inbuilt. You don't need to make something of your own. All the classes and all everything is inbuilt. Similarly, for Chrome as well, there is a class known as I'll work on that as well, and I'll tell you Chromedriver. For Internet Explorer, there is a class known as Internet Explorer Driver. Fine, and for there are other drivers as well like Htmlunit Driver, Safari Driver. Right. There is a driver class known as Remote WebDriver. Remote WebDriver class, right? Remote WebDriver class is a class which is used in GRID, okay, to run the test cases parallelly. Fine. Okay. So to run the test cases parallelly, this class is used, Remote WebDriver. Okay. So for every browser or for every you can say functionality, right? For example, grid and all that stuff, right? You have a separate driver class. Fine. Htmlunit driver is something which can actually test your website without uh, opening the browser. Fine. Guys, I request you to please keep yourself on mute, otherwise there's a lot of disturbance sometimes. Fine. So Htmlunit driver is a driver which can actually test the website without opening the browser. Okay. It is behind the scenes. Okay, so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about everything. But first, let me come back to mobile.java. Okay, in mobile.java, you will have got two global properties. Okay, you have got two global properties, like name is one property and price is one property. Okay, technically this is known as non-static global variable. Why global? Because this is not inside any function. This is inside the class directly, outside the function. Okay, price is also technically known as non-static global variable, and this function is technically known as non-static function. Okay, now if you look at your say your main class, like for example, if you look at user.java, fine. Over here you have this class user, and inside it you have the main function. Now main function is static. There is something known as static as well. Okay, look, there are two types of functions and variables. One I have explained you. For example, non-static global variable is one. It's a kind of variable. Now you can have static variables as well. For example, int number of batteries, and I can make this variable static. Now technically this variable is known as static global variable. So what is the difference between non-static global variable and static global variable? Okay, fine. Okay, Sarita is asking a question: how do I determine how many driver classes I need? It depends on your project. If your client wants that you should test on Chrome and I only, you can use only these two drivers. Right? It completely depends on your project. Alright. So in going back to Java, I created a static variable. So what is static? How is it different from non-static? Okay. The thing is, look, non-static variable, when you create the object, it's present inside the variable. One copy of the variable is present inside the object. But static variable is present outside the object. Okay, in number of batteries would be here, and it would be common for all the objects. We know that a number of batteries for all the mobiles are 1. There are total number of 1 batteries. So I don't need to keep it non-static. Okay, I'll keep it static so that it's common for all the objects. And static properties can be used directly like this. You don't need to create the object. You can directly write mobile dot number of batteries equals to 1. You don't need to create the object. To access the non-static properties like name, price, and the print function, it's mandatory to create the object. Without creating the object, you cannot access the properties. Okay, I hope you got it right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me the question. Right. So non-static properties are the properties which can be accessed with the object, and static properties are the properties which can be accessed without creating the object as well. Alright. Now moving further on, I'm sorry. Right. Moving further on, uh, coming back to the Selenium file you had. So if I create the object of the Firefox class, I will be able to access all the non-static properties, like the get function was there, which takes me to a particular URL. Fine. Now one thing, guys, please note, give the okay. Is my voice breaking? Like somebody was saying that my voice is breaking. Is my voice breaking? It's fine. Okay. Again, I iterate. Please note that there is no electronic equipment near your PC, like a mobile phone or something. It causes interference sometimes in the meeting, and probably the voice breaks. Okay. All right. Fine. So just a minute. Yeah. Continuing forward. Right. So using the object of this class, I can call all the non-static properties over here. Now if I write just Firefox driver dot, the name of the class dot, you will see various static properties of this class. Now everything in this class is inbuilt. Okay, so you really don't have to worry about anything. Fine, so we will be using in the coming classes, we will be using both static as well as the non-static properties and all everything, and we will be looking towards all the aspects. Fine. Now let me do one thing. Let me talk about Chromedriver. If I create the object of Chromedriver, now as the name suggests, Chromedriver is used to work on Chrome. Okay, most of you will be knowing these things, but I'm starting from the basics. Okay, and I write over here Chromedriver.get. Fine, and I write HTTP. Say again yahoo.com. Right, and if I run this program, I'll get an error. Illegal state exception. Fine. Most of you or 100% of you will get this error as well. You cannot instantiate Chromedriver like this directly. Okay. Okay. Sarita is asking a question. Can you give some more examples on non-static properties? Look, non-static properties. It's quite simple. If you don't put a static keyword in front of any property, it becomes a non-static property. It can only be accessed by creating the object of the class. If over here user.java, if I write mobile dot, you will only see the static property coming up. You will not see the non-static property coming up. If I create the object of the class, you will see the non-static properties like name and price coming up as well as the static ones. Fine. After creating the object, through the object you can access the static property as well, but you should not. Generally the static properties are accessed directly by the class name dot. Okay. What is the benefit of creating non-static properties? Well, you can initialize everything at a separate you can initialize everything to a separate different value. For example, in this class I have got name and price as non-static properties. Now I created two objects of the mobile class and I could initialize two objects to different values with the help of non-static properties. Okay, in the memory, the non-static properties are inside the objects. Each object has got its own name, price, and the print function. Okay, so I can initialize my each and every object separately. For example, coming over to Selenium Basics. Okay, let me comment this Chromedriver. I create the object of Firefox driver F1 and I write that take it to yahoo.com. Similarly, I can create one more object of this class known as F2 and I can write F2.get me to HTTP. Hold on. bbc.com. So basically I'm creating two different objects of Firefox driver in the memory. Each object has the reference, one has the reference F1, one has the reference F2. Now The first object F1, I'll take it to yahoo.com. The second object, I'll take it to bbc.com. Okay. So when I run this, fine. So what Mozilla will open, it will go to Yahoo. Right. And hold on. The other will open and it will go to BBC. Right. So this is how it works. Alright. So by creating an object of the class, you can initialize every object separately. But there are some properties in the object which are common. Fine. Those common properties you can make them static. Okay, and you can directly access them with the class name dot the static property. Alright, fine. Now I was talking about Chromedriver. If I create the object of Chromedriver, you'll have to import Chromedriver. Fine. You get an error. If I create the object and run this, you get an error. The error is because you need to actually download an exe file for Chromedriver, and then only it works. Actually, hold on, you need to follow these steps. You need to go to the website seleniumhq.org, go to the download link over here. Okay, in the download link, you hold on, you go to this one, Chrome, third-party browsers not developed by Selenium HQ, Chrome. So you go over here in this, out here you'll see the download link, and over here go to this particular link, and you have to download the latest version 2.9 and download the Chromedriver exe, the zip file for whichever OS you have. For Windows you can download this one. For 64-bit Windows as well, you can download this 32.zip. That's not the problem. It will work. Fine. When you download the zip file and extract it, you will get Chromedriver.exe over here. The one which I have over here. Chromedriver.exe. Look, though you don't need to run this exe file. You just need to know the path where it is lying, and you just need to write a single line, that is inside the system class dot system dot set property WebDriver dot Chrome dot driver. Okay, you have to set the system property and equate it to the value of the location where Chromedriver.exe is lying. In Java, you have to give double slash when you write path. Fine. Now, system.set property. What is this? System is an internal class inside Java language, and set property is the function, is the static function of that class. Okay. Set property is the static function of the class, and system is an internal class of the Java language. Fine. So you call it just by directly name of the class dot the set property function, which is static, and you set the property that here WebDriver.Chrome.driver equal to the path where Chromedriver.exe is lying. Now many times people do a mistake, they keep the W capital for WebDriver or something. Make sure everything is in the lower case. Java is a case sensitive language. Okay, when you run this now, you'll see that Chrome is opening. and it's going to a certain website. Okay, so all you need to do is that you need to create the objects of internal classes inside Selenium. You don't need to have that rocket science skill to generate everything of your own. Okay, everything is inbuilt. You need to have the knowledge that fine, this class is used for this thing, this class is used for this thing, right? And all these classes are made by people who made Selenium, that is the ThoughtWorks guys. Okay, similarly Internet Explorer driver is there, right? Look guys, I is not working on my machine. Fine, I'll tell you how to use iDriver. Okay, there are two steps. The first step is that for working with Internet Explorer driver, go to seleniumhq.org, okay, and go to the download section, fine, and you will see Internet Explorer driver server over here. Based on your machine, fine, whether it is 32-bit I or 64-bit I in your machine, I'm talking about the bits of Internet Explorer. If you have got 32-bit Internet Explorer or 64-bit Internet Explorer, download the corresponding exe. Fine. You need to click on this link and the zip file will get downloaded. You extract the zip file. Hold on. Yeah. This is the zip file. You extract the zip file and you get a folder over here like this. Inside this you will have iDriverServer.exe. Fine. Similar exe for Chrome is also there. For iDriver also there is an exe which you need to download from Selenium XP. Fine. So you need to write the statement that system.set property when you are working with iDriver, WebDriver dot i.driver, everything in lowercase, and give the path of the Internet Explorer exe in your PC. Okay, this is the first thing. Second thing is that, okay, look, the thing is this is XP OS and my eye is giving a little issue. Everybody these days has got Windows 7 or Windows 8. Okay, in Windows 7 or Windows 8, you need to actually keep the, what do you say, hold on, the security levels in I uh, at the same level. You need to turn off the protected mode basically. You just search on Google how to turn off protected mode in I. Okay, where whichever version you have got i8, i9, i10, just search how to turn off the protected mode for all the levels. Okay, and you will get the information. Okay, basically you get a screen like this in I options. Fine. Make sure that for all the four things, that is internet, local internet, trusted and restricted sites. For all the four options over here, this control should be at the same level for all of them. Don't keep the levels different. Okay, when you go into Internet Explorer's options and if you go into security, fine, right, for all these four tabs, right, make sure that the level of this cursor is at the same level. Fine. So these are the two settings which you need to do for I, and after that I will also work. Okay, right. And one more thing, in I, make sure that the zoom level is 100%. Sometimes this also causes the issue. Fine. Every browser has got a zoom level, right? For example, in Mozilla as well, I can change the zoom level. Yeah, I can zoom Mozilla more, plus, minus, and all. Make sure that there is no zoom in I, okay, and it will work fine. All right, yeah. So this is how you work with the three basic drivers. One is Firefox, one is Chrome, and one is I. For iDriver, there are three things. First, you need to set the system property. Second is that you need to set the zoom level to 100%, which most of you will be having. And third is that you need to have the protected mode, not turned off exactly, at same level. Okay, in security, which I just told you. And then you can create the object of Internet Explorer driver and work with it. Fine. Alright. So any questions from anyone? Anyone having any questions regarding Selenium, regarding course, regarding whatever I just explained you about objects, right? You can simply create the objects of the class, and you using those objects you can access uh, you can initialize each and every object to a different state, fine, and you can use them, right? And in Selenium you create the objects of internal classes, fine. Now let me go to the documentation of Selenium. This is the Java doc, fine. Java documentation for Selenium. If you open this, you will have all classes listed over here. These are all the classes in Selenium. No, nobody remembers all of them. Even I don't also remember all of them. I just look through the documentation whenever I need some help, or if I need to find about some class. I just look through the documentation. In this documentation, you will find all the classes. For example, this is the class uh, Firefox driver. Right? We just studied about this class. If you look in Java docs, you will see that the first thing which they have is field summary. These are all the static fields which are there in this class. Okay. Then you have constructor summary. I have not taught you about constructor, right? And this is the method summary. These are the methods in this class. Fine. So look, there every class will have its own description in this complete Java doc. Okay. Even Chromedriver will also be present. It's alphabetically listed. If you search over here, see that this is Chromedriver. Fine. A WebDriver implementation that controls the Chrome browser running on the local machine. Alright. And they have got good examples as well over here which tell you how to work with Chromedriver. Okay. Now, hold on. Right. Now you can also import this documentation into Eclipse. You can import the Java documentation into Eclipse as well. Right. This is the link for Java doc in seleniumhq.org. I'll right click on this link and select the option copy link location. Okay. I'll go to my Eclipse and go to the properties of the project. Alright. And these are all the jar files under Java build path. Fine. Out of all these jars, I will use the jar, this one, Selenium Java 2.x.jar. Please go to this particular jar. Okay. And after going to this jar, expand it. You will get the option Java doc location. Fine. Edit it and paste the link location which you just copied for Java docs over here. Fine. The Java doc link location you put it over here and delete index.html from the end. Just give this particular location. Fine. The jar name is the main Selenium jar, Selenium Java 2.x.jar. Right now it's 2.42, the latest version. Fine. You can expand it and you can put the Java doc location over here. And when you do it, Right now, if I move my mouse over Chromedriver word which is written, automatically Selenium will pick up the definition of Chromedriver and it will tell you what this class is doing. If I write Chromedriver dot, you get lot of functions, right? If I click on each and every function, I will get a description what each and every function is doing. Alright. So this will not come if you don't import the Java docs. Okay. This is very helpful because in the beginning when you don't know stuff, you can simply import the Java documentation. You will not have to go again and again inside the Java documentation over here. You can simply refer everything from Eclipse itself. You move your mouse over Chromedriver, you get the Java documentation. If you find any link and if you click on that link, the Java doc will open inside Eclipse only. You see that? Select the frames view and you see that the Java documentation Eclipse opens within Eclipse. So you can directly refer without opening a browser and going to the website and then referring it again and again. You can refer it within Eclipse as well, right? So I'll again repeat, people they get confused at times. The first step is you just go and copy the path of Java doc from here, copy the link location, fine, and then go to your project properties and inside project properties go to the main Selenium jar file which is Selenium Java 2.x, expand it and in Java doc location put the URL but remove index.html from the end. Right, I'm recording the session. You can also set it up after watching the recorded video. Alright, fine. So, yes, JRE system library is included in the project by default. Whenever you create any project, this Java is associated with the project by default. But reference library, you need to input that whenever you add some jar files, whether the jar files are from Selenium or some other project. Okay, there are many types of projects in Java, right? Then this reference library it comes up. Okay. So any other question from anyone? Any question? Right. Now the next topic is that we have studied individual for driver individually. Fine, Firefox driver, Chrome driver, and little bit of iDriver. Now there are other drivers as well, like Htmlunit driver is there, remote web driver is there, then something known as event firing driver is also there. This driver is basically to simulate complex user gestures like mouse movements or keyboard simulations and all, right, using Selenium. Okay, now the thing is, will I have to, the question which comes into my mind is that will I have to learn each and every driver separately? If I have to click on a link in Chrome, then the command in Chromedriver will it be different than the command in Firefox driver in case I have to click on the same link in Firefox? Okay, is the implementation of each and every driver class different? Right, the way I will manage my application in iDriver, will it be different than Chromedriver? The answer to that is no, and the answer to that can be found in the concept of interfaces in Java language. Fine. So the next topic which I am going to discuss is about the concept of interfaces in object-oriented programming. Fine. And then I'll tell you using interface how you can prevent this problem, that is each driver having a separate class and each class having its own set of functions. Fine. Okay. So I'll not take that today. I don't have enough time. If I start with interfaces, I need some time with me. Fine. Meanwhile, if anybody is having any question, you feel free to ask me question about the course and all. or the question about any technical question. And people who had registered yesterday for the course, I think all of you got a user ID and password. Did you get the user ID and password? People who registered yesterday. If there is anyone who did not get it, please let me know. Alright, fine. So, okay, then I'll end up the class. Fine. In case you have any questions, you can let me know.